All right, ladies and gentlemen, we all need to stop. We don't realize we are playing right into their hands. What is the number one rule of conquering society in general? And that is to divide and conquer. The reason we divide and conquer is simple, because when you're trying to take on an opposition and they're standing shoulder to shoulder unified and they are fighting for each other and they're believing in each other and they are going to war for each other, it's so much harder to fight against that unified front than to take on a mass of people who are pissed off about all these very legitimate reasons, but are so tied up in the sideshow arguments that are created. So when they ask you, if you send a message on TikTok with someone, for example, this is what I mean by throwing into a crowd and seeing what happens, setting a trap, seeing what happens. They ask you in a message, a simple, quick flash thing. If, hey, you've unlocked a streak, do you want to put this on your storyline? And if you hit anywhere on the picture wrong, they actually post a thing that you've had 37 conversations with, blah, 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 blah. And then all of the people in that whole entire follower group, which is a strong community currently standing shoulder to shoulder, fighting for each other, loving each other as family, fighting for each other no matter what, are all of a sudden waiting for a response from someone they care for, they love, they don't know what's going on, but they've sent them 5 messages with no response, and then they get this big announcement that, hey, I've responded to someone else 34 times. No, that's not going to start a fight in a tight-knit community. And how deep of a divide could that psychologically place? This is where the PSYOP side of the Red School takes control. Think about the psychology behind that simple move. Because I don't have time to respond to everyone that I care for and I love so much that I need to respond for. But setting the bait to start an eternal fight of something so small, or another one is do you want to connect your Facebook friends every single time you log on? So if you accidentally connect once, do you think they're going to ask you again the next day? Or do you think they're just going to leave it so all of your Facebook friends get notified through TikTok of what you posted and your post is on their FYP? How many more fights will that move start? So why do you think you're asked every freaking message if you want to post this on the timeline, or you're asked every time you open the TikTok app if you want to connect it with your Facebook friends? Which, by the way, apparently Facebook never had anything to do with TikTok. Yeah, right. It was just a accidental meeting at the inauguration anyway. But this is where it comes back to the divide and conquer. Okay? You have a bad actor up whatever whose sole purpose was breaking apart America from within, then breaking apart NATO, then breaking apart the Paris, all the agreements, the Iran nuclear deal, all of the things that were on the table secured, that if you rewind before Trumpster 101, you would see that the Iran nuclear deal solves all of these storylines that are now scaring the crap out of everyone on the news today. Already solved. There were already inspectors going in there from all these different countries. That was part of the deal. Who got rid of that? This is my point. So that starts a fight. Everything's divided. We don't agree on anything else. There's all this infighting. So when we're needed to stand unified again, there's all this dirt between you and Joe Schmo that on this family complex platform, you were so tight and you fought for each other and defended each other in every freaking chat, in every room, in everything, until this one thing came up that boom, 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 blew it all apart. The point is they are winning. They're the ones who ask you that question every time you open up TikTok. They're the ones that ask you that question every time you open up your freaking Facebook. They're the ones who create this shit, remember? And now the new owner of TikTok, that magically all these new rules came into play, the new owner is the biggest donor for who? It ain't Harris. So the divide and conquer, when you go from a country that's been your biggest adversary that actually has been the balance worldwide on almost every level, then you can divide the citizens You could divide NATO. You get a leader put in for NATO. You get a leader put. Everything is weakened because the roots of the tree are chopped into a million little tiny pieces. So that unification that we first felt before that, hey, he responded to 33 messages from Joe Schmo and not one from me for 27 days. F you. All of those and Facebook and blah, 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 blah. Part of the PSYOPs plan, ladies and gentlemen, and we all fell for it. Find the information to stop that from happening. And when you're in these community chats and when you're in these and you get tied up in these side dramas that pull you away from whatever the core focus of what you're supposed to be focusing on across the freaking board in order to save our country, you are putting that little spat, that little bullshit, that little argument, that little whatever in front of that you, my dear friends that I love with all my heart, and I want to protect each and every one of you against enemies foreign and domestic. You are making the choice to contribute to the divide. So please, focus on what's real, what's right, what's big, what's right now, what's most important. And recognize every decision you make because of the power of the platform we are on, because of your account, because of your families, because of your communities, filled with love for every single, each and every one of us. Why in God's name would you take the number one directive of our biggest enemies worldwide and bring it to our homes, to our families, to our communities when we are in the middle of the fight of our lives, when everything literally is at stake? These little tiny collateral damage takes away from our unity, our fight, our battle, and our victory in the future, which we will have. But we will have quicker and better with all the help we can get. So why are we contributing to taking away from that power with this bullshit, spiteful, whatever, focus on what's real? We can't divide within anymore. Stand up for yourselves, yes. But recognize the need we have for each and every voice on these platforms and in these families that have developed. Without reminding ourselves, families fight. There's always normal families fighting. That's great. That happens. I'm not saying numb yourself or whatever, neuter yourself from those fights. What I'm saying is keep your eye on the big picture and focus on the number one directive of every enemy we have, every opposition we will find on any level politically and in life is centered on the divide and conquer. We are strong united. We are strong shoulder to shoulder. And we are strong looking at what they're trying to do from the big picture glasses, so our little tiny frustrations that we find on a day-to-day basis shouldn't cloud from that directive. And our responsibility to the people in our communities created by our own lives, by our own content, our own accounts, our own actions. They have ramifications just like Trump's actions have ramifications, just like the Republicans' actions have ramifications. They have ramifications in our overall community family. We have the responsibility as content creators to own that with every post we make. Because one ripple effect can divide a beautiful phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm never going to try and ever have anything to do with anything to clip that phoenix's wings. So when I see the Election Truth Alliance and organizations like that giving us the responsibility to represent every value this country's supposed to be about, and we are hypocrites if we think our internal fighting isn't doing the same thing on a micro level as they're doing on a national level. We are kidding ourselves if we don't see that parallel. We have responsibilities as content creators. We have responsibilities to every single ear listening to set the example, no matter what our personal battles are, no matter how bad our battles are taking us down every day and every night, no matter what is happening financially, personally, mentally, physically, whatever, medically. We fight. But we must stand united. We don't have to get along with everyone for everything. We don't have to agree with everyone for everything. We need to agree on the big picture, defend the big picture, and defend every single person in the family fighting for that big picture. Everything else is between you and that person, or whatever. That's it. Because we got a bigger mission. Distractions from that mission, just like our personal stuff distracting us from our mission as content creators. We have to find a way to put out quality content that isn't misinformation, that isn't you can't show receipts for. That's our promise to our listeners, our people, our family, our community. We want to add strength to our community through our actions on and off. Cherish the responsibilities we have as content creators. Cherish the opportunities we have to make a huge difference in this world on as many levels as we want to allow ourselves to do. That's up to us individually. But support everybody trying to do this for the right reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, stay diligent, stay educated, and be kind. We are all in this together. God bless.